Millions of Americans have already broken early voting records set in 2020. Georgia is one of the states seeing high turnout for early voting, despite some rising concerns about voter suppression. More than 80,000 voters there cast their ballots in one day this past weekend. So to help break down what's happening, I want to bring in CBS News reporter Sarah Ewall-Wice. Sarah, it's always good to see you. So people are certainly enthusiastic. And this is not, typically when voters are enthusiastic. It's usually when we're talking about presidential elections. So which Americans are more likely to participate in early voting?
Yes, no, there's a lot of excitement and momentum going on with this current midterm election. We've seen numbers in early voting closer to the 2020 presidential election, up from the 2018 midterm, when you'll remember there was high turnout for that one for a midterm as well. So who's early voting? Well, it depends really specifically on the state, but a general breakdown is when I spoke to election officials, they talk about how young people are less likely to vote early or vote by mail. So it's an older crowd of people who are voting early. Young people typically wait for election day. It also is largely Democrats. Democrats are more likely to vote by mail or vote early in person. And there's a lot of polarization around this. Former President Trump talked a lot about vote by mail, and that really suppressed Republicans from using it in the 2020 election, depending on the state. So we're seeing, when you see the numbers from a lot of these battleground states, it trends more towards Democrats. For example, in Pennsylvania, vote by mail has been going on. 70+% of that has been Democrats who have been voting early. Of course, we'll see a larger surge of Republicans then voting on election day. That is something we saw in 2020 as well. Whereas a state like Florida, where vote by mail has been the process for some time, there was less criticism of that process and early voting as well. And we see a more even split in terms of early voting. More than 1 million people have voted by mail in that state. About 42% Democrats, 38% Republicans so far, so much more evenly divided. But it'll be something to watch as we move forward. We'll continue to have more states adding early voting in person and mail voting as we get closer to Election Day. But right now, more than 8 million people have already voted in this midterm.
Why so much enthusiasm? Why are so many people coming out early?
I think it's something where we see that a lot of these races are extremely tight. I have been, of course, focusing on those battlegrounds, but we are in a very, very closely divided Senate. So states like Pennsylvania, states like Georgia, states like North Carolina, those are the states where if it flips one way or the other, it could decide who controls the Senate. Democrats obviously control it now, but that's a 50-50 split. Also, there is a very closely split House. Democrats are in control. Our CBS News Battleground Tracker shows that we expect Republicans to take control come November. But there's a lot at stake here for both parties, so people are energized. And keep in mind, there are a lot of issues on people's minds. The economy, for one, is one of the big challenges that people have been facing. It's been the top issue in polling across the country. So a lot of people are showing up to vote, and we expect more to continue showing up on Election Day.
After the last election, though, there were a number of states that sort of implemented various restrictions on early voting or absentee ballots and all that sort of stuff, whether it was like limiting the ballot boxes where you could drop them off or not allowing people to get a drink of water while they were in line. I'm wondering if any of these sort of new policies is having an impact on the turnout.
So right now, it does show that early voting is close to what we saw in 2020. But I want to keep in mind, people to keep in mind here, just because there is high turnout does not mean there isn't also voter suppression efforts underway. There were plenty of restrictions that were put in place after the 2020 election in multiple states. There were also a number of laws that were changed, or people, in fact, from leadership, including the former president, tried to discredit the election. So it is something to keep in mind that, yes, we are seeing early turnout, but the laws were changed, and it did involve further restrictions and making it harder for people to vote. For example, limiting the number of drop boxes, adding more restrictions on IDs. And so those are things that do exist, and they do pose additional challenges for people. And those are things that a lot of groups are seeing. The thing that is happening as people are coming out in large numbers, when you see efforts to restrict voting, you also see the backlash and kind of the mobilization efforts also underway. So groups come out and help people more to rally. So that is something to keep in mind.
All right, Sarah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.